Manchester City striker Erling Haaland has been named as PFA Men's Player of the Year. This after a record-breaking season with City. He was the Premier League top scorer as well as the Champions League top scorer and helped City become only the second English club to win a treble. So is he the best footballer in the world? Hello and welcome. You have tuned into WION World of Sports Extra. I am Nikhil Mathur and I'm joined by my sports editor Digvijay Singh Deo and by my colleague Vidur Kathuria.
Hello.
So is Holland the best footballer in the world? I mean, the stats and the titles say so. What do you think?
Yeah, but before that, I must say that the Cricket World Cup is round the corner. So experimentation going on. We're also experimenting. But I didn't expect Vidur and I to land up with the same shirts.
But hopefully we'll have some success.
So, see, the way I look at it, football always has been about goals.
Yep.
And even when Messi and Ronaldo were winning the FIFA Best Awards or the Ballon d'Ors, it was on the back of the goals they scored. Okay, not on the amount of how many goals they created. Lewandowski, let's go back a couple of years. Lewandowski won it 2 years running, only because of the number of goals that he scored. It's very rare that you had a Fabio Cannavaro winning it in 2006 after Italy won the World Cup. Or Luka Modric, 2018. But mostly it's been strikers and sort of playmakers. Kaká got it also at a time when he was assisting a lot and scoring. So these are the kind of players who win these awards. I think Holland, on the basis of the numbers that he's piled up, and let's not forget, it's not the MLS, all due respect to Messi, it's not the Saudi League, all due respect to Ronaldo who scored twice. This is the Premier League. And if you've scored 52 goals in the Premier League in 53 matches, cold footballing logic suggests he should be winning the Ballon d'Or, he should be winning the FIFA Best. But you also have to factor in the World Cup, especially when the Ballon d'Or race is decided. So that's a different argument. But if you're asking me cold footballing logic, yes, best player in the world right now.
Yeah.
And human also, Mr. Penalty. So he's not an alien. He's very much a Manchester City player, born in Norway. Good time for Norwegians, Carsten Warho, Magnus Carlsen, Erling Haaland, Victor Hovland.
And maybe Casper Ruud.
Yeah.
You know, Haaland was already a goal machine when he was playing at Borussia Dortmund. But with City, he has taken it to a different level. And to crack the Premier League in its debut season, it's a big thing. I haven't seen many footballers doing so well in their debut season.
It's unprecedented what he did in his debut season. No striker has scored that many goals in the Premier League. He broke Mohamed Salah's record. And he just... every game, he's a constant threat.
Salah, didn't he break Shearer's record also?
And that was obviously a 42-game season. Shearer scored that many goals.
I think we need to explain that earlier, why Shearer's mark was there and what happened. You could just take it
so Shearer obviously scored, I think it was 34 goals in a 42-game season when the Premier League was, it had
was it the Premier League back then or was it the first division?
Yeah, no, it was the Premier League.
94-95.
So that back when I think Blackburn Rovers won the Premier League. Then, of course, he broke that record as well. And, of course, he broke Salah's record across a 38-game season, which was 31 goals. And, I mean, we're just talking about these records as if it's nothing. Well, it was nothing for Erling Haaland. You know, 50 goals in his debut season. I think what we have to say is, what I'll say is, it's a shame if he will not be rewarded for his individual brilliance of last season. That is... that can be Ballon d'Or, that can be UEFA Best Award, but he has to win one of these awards for his brilliance to be recognized at a global stage. Obviously, you know, he swept all the English awards and rightly so.
I think the last one was Salah. Salah's debut season. The last time a player won all three.
Yeah, there is no conversation when it comes to who the best footballer has been in England over the last year. But obviously, you know, there are plenty other sort of things you have to keep in mind. As Digvijay said, the World Cup year, but we've had this conversation before. Messi has already been rewarded for his performances at the World Cup with the Golden Ball Award and as well as the FIFA Best Award. So Ballon d'Or, if we're looking at that award in particular, I think Erling Haaland has to win it.
Very emphatic with your response.
And his throat is way better than Warro's.
Lots of hot
more
water.
comfortable sitting down.
No, and it's not just the goal that he has scored. Do you think he has evolved City? Because how I look at it is City are a possession-based club. But with Holland, they have a target man. And remember, the match against Arsenal, it was an away game, and they were playing long ball. So he adds a different dimension to the club.
No, it's actually not that much of a comment in my mind about Erling Haaland, but about Pep Guardiola. That this is a man who goes out there with a single agenda of winning the Premier League. It's a lot like what we saw with Alex Ferguson in the Manchester United days.
Yeah.
He analyzes his team at the end of a season. How do I improve? How do I improve? City, the season before that, had at least 10 or 11 players scoring the goals, 7 goals, 8 goals, 10 goals. I think Gundogan, was on the top scorers for them. De Bruyne had those goals. Rodri had goals. Bernardo Silva had goals. But Pep Guardiola decided, listen, this is not how I go and win the Champions League, because I think that was what was missing.
Yeah.
They wanted to win the Champions League, and he knew that if I need to win the Champions League, I need a proven goal scorer at that level. They went in. How they got him for $51 million is I think the bargain of
the decade.
Bellingham's going for £110 million, right?
Yeah.
And he's being called a bargain.
He's been called a bargain. Erling Haaland went at $51 million. I mean, even Nunez didn't go for $51 million. Okay, who else went for 51? Caicedo, Romeo Lavia.
Yeah.
Chelsea players.
Lavia, 50, right?
Yeah,
55. £55 million.
The market is so inflated now.
No, whatever be the issue, but this guy went for $51 million. It's a steal. How do you get a player like that? A proven world-class player. And Holland, when he burst on in Austria, then went to Dortmund, and then here, clearly I would have thought that Liverpool would go for him because of Klopp's connection with the Bundesliga. But clearly Pep went in there, and he's I think we got to identify his genius. And he put Holland there. Initially, remember, people were saying, can he do it? Like they say, can Messi do it on a cold, wet night in Stoke City? But Holland went and he adapted.
Exactly.
He adapted. City changed the way they play. Earlier, I think, you remember the previous season, in every game they would have 5 or 6 chances which they would miss, not score. But here, he just made them the complete team.
They were missing the Champions League title. And let's say PSG, they have also bought a dream team. They bought Messi, they bought Neymar, they had Mbappe. And they
didn't have Pep.
They didn't have Pep. But I remember Holland saying that his season would only be successful if he's able to guide City to a Champions League title. And credit to him, he has done that. And it's not easy.
Oh, of course. And no one knows that better than Manchester City themselves.
Or PSG, us PSG.
Yes, yes. And that because all the other trophies, the Premier League, basically now it seems like Manchester City win the Premier League every season. They are now chasing a 4th straight Premier League title. No one has ever done that. Yeah. Not even Sir Alex Ferguson, the great Manchester United team. They won 3 straight. No team has won 4 straight. So it's a given. It's almost a given that they are overwhelming favourites for to win the Premier League title, and that was the missing piece for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, and he proved to be that. And the Champions League. Listen, when you talk about these individual awards, World Cup year is different, but the best player of a Champions League winning team, more often than not, goes on to win these individual awards. So you have
especially when the World Cup awards has been decided at the end of the World Cup, you had the FIFA best pushed back. And Messi got it for what he did. So my point is, Messi has already been rewarded. He shouldn't be getting an award for something he's already won.
And also another point I'd like to make just about his playing style. We haven't seen anything like him in the Premier League. The way he goes about his business. He's this absolute beast who bullies, the best defenders in the world. He's not afraid of anyone. If he misses a chance, it doesn't matter. He comes back and scores again.
But he's also he's not exactly a bull in a china shop. He's got finesse also.
Exactly.
Which is some of his goals we've seen last year, but a lot of them were about skill as well. He wasn't just the typical big tank English football battering ram. A bit like what Shearer was, the old English forwards of the day.
And he's fearless. He doesn't care, who his opponent is. He's so strong on the ball. I think
Vidur, there's something you touched upon is actually what makes Holland great. Those misses don't affect him. We've seen players who go through a bad run of form and then that confidence gets affected. I think he has this supreme belief in himself. In a way, he's Magnus Carlsen when he's playing chess. I think he's
Magnus Carlsen is bored.
He's bored. Yeah.
So
he isn't bored of scoring goals.
Yeah, touching on what in fact, I think Mohamed Salah sometimes has that. He's not affected by. It's not a confidence issue. You know who did have a confidence issue? Fernando Torres. If you go back, there was an extreme dip in confidence, and then he just couldn't come back. So Haaland is so young. What's his age?
23, I think.
23.
Yeah, 23. He's
got at least a decade in him, and we can be talking about Messi, Ronaldo-esque numbers. That just
and I think, to be fair to him, he also comes from a country where they're not going to win the European Championship or they're not going to win the FIFA World Cup. Mbappe has that kind of a squad alongside him to take him to a World Cup. He's already won a World Cup. He's in a World Cup final. So I think that also needs to be taken into account. It's a lot like what we saw with, say, the likes of Kenny Dalglish, Ian Rush, George Weah. Growing up, all these players you sort of heard about, that they came from countries where the country itself wasn't the greatest in terms of knocking on the doors for these big tournaments. But individual brilliance has to be recognized. Let's look at Lewandowski. Again, Lewandowski is also a prime example. Lewandowski got his 2 FIFA Best Awards for powering those Bayern Munich to a Champions League title, but also
one season. Yeah, exactly. He did win it when Bayern did not win the Champions League.
And by 50 plus goals. That's the currency in football, goals. Very rare that a goalkeeper wins it. Oh, okay. I'm saying if you have a goalkeeper who has, say, 50 match season, 40 clean sheets, he deserves to be in that reckoning. But if goals is the currency, has to be Haaland.
And goals win games. That's why we watch the game. That's why all of us watch football. And if you talk to ex-players, they say that most difficult thing to do as a footballer is score goals. So sometimes we take it for granted. We take it for granted for Haaland especially.
Let's go back to the last game, Liverpool game, which I think all of us watched. Miguel Almiron. There's no way that strike of his should not have gone in. But you have to also remember that the goalkeeper is also world class. So a lot of players Holland is playing against are today the best players in the world. The Premier League today, perhaps if you compare the Premier League to the Italian League, to the French League, to the Spanish League, the top 4. I'm missing anyone? The German Bundesliga. The Premier League has the level of competition in the Premier League is much closer. So you would still have Manchester United winning the race for the top 4, but still losing 7-0 to Liverpool. And you've seen top teams like bottom teams.
Southampton, I think, defeated one of the top 4 teams last year. They were
Everton, from nowhere, bottom of the table, still came out with those wins and stayed. The Premier League is a tough league. It's got the best players in the world. And that's why I think 52 goals across the season for Man City puts him right up there.
And that too, when he was substituted just to manage his workload. Otherwise, he would have scored 60 goals. Even more than that.
So, do we have...
I have results.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's take a look at them.
I have 2 of them. First, Manoj says, you've forgotten Neymar.
Oh.
Okay. I would disagree, Manoj, simply because Neymar has not dominated to an extent for PSG the way he was supposed to on the basis of his reputation. In fact, the last year, you remember, it was more of Mbappe and Messi.
And all the players that we have mentioned, Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar hasn't won a big title. He had the chance.
Reputation alone doesn't take you very far in this race. I don't think he's ever been in a shortlist for the top 3 after
he has been, and
MSN season.
And right now, I don't think he's in the conversation for the best player in the world, especially with the.
In fact, you could argue that why is Salah not in this list? But he didn't have the greatest of season last year, and Liverpool didn't do well. Simple as that.
But even Neymar's numbers are not impressive as, say, Mbappe.
Mbappe was the better player in that PSG squad.
And that's why the winning title is very important. That's why we don't have Harry Kane in this list, because he also scored 30 goals last season when Tottenham were not even in the top 6. But since he hasn't won any title, it's difficult to put him in this race.
Yeah.
Will Harry Kane be on the list next season?
He's going to be.
Yeah.
Because then Bayern are going to not just win the Bundesliga, they usually win it every year, but he's going to take them deep in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then he's in the conversation. First trophy in his life, probably. He's never won it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The poll, is Haaland the best footballer in the world right now? 69%.
Wow.
No. And 31%
Nice
of you
build-up.
think yes. The numbers are even more staggered for the next poll which you put out. The other poll we had is who's the best footballer in the world? Erling Haaland. Okay, give me a guess.
Above 50.
20%.
6.9%.
Whoa.
6.9% of you think Erling Haaland is the best footballer in the world right now. In fact, of all the 4 players we have in that list, that's the lowest number. That tells you a lot about perception in football,
Exactly.
And fans.
about reputation in football.
Yeah.
And
The Messi fans clearly have it. 51.4% think it's Lionel Messi. Ronaldo, 27.8%. Cristiano Ronaldo, who's playing in Saudi
Arabia.
Okay, not the biggest of leagues right now. Different story in a couple of years' time. Not right now. Kylian Mbappe, 13.9%. The reigning superstar of the game. Lovely numbers.
Yeah.
Just
Just
tells
show
you
that it also, I think, the country you play for makes a difference.
And also, Messi and Ronaldo have a legacy. Holland has just started his career.
Exactly.
So obviously, if you put Messi, Ronaldo in a room with Holland, obviously he's going to be nowhere in terms of
just in terms
the
of
years.
numbers. Holland has to continue doing what he did over the course of last season for the next 10, 12 years to be even considered in the same conversation in terms of legacy as Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Just
But I
tells
think
you-
Messi and
just
Ronaldo
tells you
are
how
more
much.
of in this list on
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
But they have earned everything.
But
They
I
have
think,
earned everything.
I think maybe Messi, what he's showing at Inter.
They've earned, he's Erling.
And of course, we are wearing pink Inter Miami colors.
No, what if Messi played in one of those big leagues? Do you think, because after the World Cup and what is he showing?
I think Messi could have played. I think Messi, even his numbers in PSG weren't bad.
Went bad. He scored
But
20,
it was
21.
the problem was that team was a team of contradictions. The coach was Mbappe's choice. Mbappe was full control of that club.
Yeah.
That's one more reason why PSG are not Man City.
Yeah.
Man City have the riches. A lot of clubs, when they have that amount of money, the coaches are not treated very well. But there is full control. Pep Guardiola runs that club the way he wants it. He wants that signing. Chucky Burstein will make it happen.
Yeah. Also, Messi, I mentioned it a few days before. If he wants to turn it up, I think he's still better than any player in the world. Did you see his pass, by the way? The pass that he made for the goal he scored.
Exactly. Guys, you should go and see that video.
Incredible.
The player wasn't even in the picture. In the first frame, when Messi has the ball, the player he passed to wasn't even in the frame. But yet, Messi has that vision to pass that.
He sees things we don't see.
It's great.
Yeah.
Goat.
Yeah.
Okay. What's happening? We're done with this. What's happening at 6:30 p.m. today? Before you get in there, we'll tell you what won't run on 6:30, but will run later. The Asia Cup kicks off. Pakistan versus Nepal in Multan. Certain Virendra Sehwag comes to mind when we talk about Multan. That result probably comes in 10:30, 11 at night, if we get a full game.
Yeah.
Nepal, in fact, no pushovers. We think that they are minnows, but 15th in the world. And Pakistan, world number one.
The world number one,
Yes.
but you can never know what to expect with
You don't know
Pakistan.
what to
I just think, they'll do well. Because see, the core of that Pakistan team, the bowling, that is very good. That bowling is very good. In fact, when I start looking across all the teams in this Asia Cup, we should do this a couple of days from now after the India-Pakistan game. I think the best all-round bowling attack, and I'm going to get slammed for this, is not India, it's Pakistan.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Bumrah is still coming back in.
Harris, Rauf.
I mean, this
India's bowling
very
line is not settled.
lineup.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true. Shami also hasn't played
Shami
that much.
rested.
Yeah.
So this, I was looking at the New Zealand series during the IPL and the Afghanistan series. It's very similar to what team played that World Cup, T20 World Cup final. Okay, tennis, Nikhil.
Carlos Alcaraz has won his first match. He's the defending champion, but not the way he wanted to, because his
Win's a win.
Yeah, but his German opponent retired after an injury in the second set. But one player that we have spoken about, Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz, but Daniil Medvedev.
Oh, what a performance.
What a win from him. He just dropped 2 games. And I think he's still one of the contenders.
I said yesterday, hard courts can't rule out Daniil Medvedev. Other important story which I really loved was, we just want to explain on the other story he loved. I'm not sort of telling why. But Andy Murray, 200 wins. The fact that he's even playing Grand Slam tennis and winning is a huge thing, considering I still remember when he started crying at the Oz Open in 2019. Almost, that was the end of the career. They even ran a tributes package for him. So he's still out there. Story you loved?
It smells like team spirit.
It smells
like grass?
Smells like something.
Is it grass?
Yeah, we don't know we don't know what it is. But now 2 players have complained of a particular smell, and I mean marijuana. So there is some smell coming, and it's actually bothering the players. So we'll be looking at that. Of course, that is legal in the New York state.
Do they fail a dope test if they inhale the smell?
I don't know.
So the guys in New York go to coach 17 and the park near it if you want to know where that smell is coming from, because the US Open has clearly said that it's not coming from our stadiums.
Yeah.
So
Public space. People.
Public space, yeah.
They're free to do what they want. And that's what the players also, they're not sort of making excuses or blaming them. They're just making the point that it is something that is happening.
They're on a high.
Yeah.
What else?
And continuing with football, Tottenham are out of EFL Cup. So one more trophy bye-bye to another trophy.
Yes.
Good decision, Harry Kane. Okay, enough of the fun and games. Also, US Ryder Cup team out.
Yes.
Big surprise for me. I have no issues with the team, except Justin Thomas. Again, Messi Ronaldo situation on reputation. I don't know. I just think that if I was Keegan Bradley or I was Cam Young, 8th and 9th, 10th, 11th in that FedEx Cup race, he didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
He hasn't won, I think, since he won his last major, the US PGA last year. So, but clearly, the Ryder Cup isn't about the 12 best players. It's about team dynamics and all of that. It's also an away Ryder Cup. It's in Rome. USA have not won in Rome, in Europe since '93 at the Belfry.
It's a long time.
So, long time. So, obviously, Zach Johnson, the captain, will be sort of, if they lose, this could boomerang on him, but I just think that 19-9 is what they won last time.
Yeah.
And they have Brooks Koepka, Live Golf, no issues. After all the tamasha that happened last year, after all the headlines that happened, them versus us and the great sort of divide in golf, Brooks Koepka's on the team simply by playing 4 majors and doing well in 2. Imagine what could have happened if Brooks had played the entire season or had earned points. I think the charade has to end.
Yeah.
You're playing professional golf. It doesn't matter where you play.
Especially representing your country, you're representing USA.
So all that and much more on our show at 6:30 p.m. IST. Thanks for tuning in.
6:30 p.m. India. We rework that. See you.